out with some breaking news coming in at the top of this hour. According to a top White House official, there is a possibility in the future of including Pakistan in the list of countries from where immigration has been banned. Acknowledging for the first time that Pakistan was under consideration to be put in that category, White House Chief of Staff Reince said that the reason the United States chose those 7 countries earlier was that those were the 7 countries that both the Congress and the Obama administration had identified as being the 7 countries that were most identifiable with dangerous terrorism taking place in their countries. Trump has issued a controversial executive order banning immigration from 7 Muslim-majority countries, including Iran, Iraq, Libya, Sudan, Yemen, Syria and Somalia. So that's the latest information coming in. A candid confession from a top White House official saying that Pakistan could have been among the 7 countries now which basically are facing severe orders in terms of their citizens facing deportation from these executive orders which have been issued from the White House. Of course, a federal judge has come in in support of those who have been detained at U.S. airports. Mr. Lalit Jha, PTI Washington correspondent, now on the phone line with us. This is a very important confession coming in from a White House official, the White House Chief of Staff, Mr. Jha, saying that Pakistan could have been among those 7 countries which basically are facing severe restrictions in terms of their citizens' stay and entry into the United States.
Yeah, you have to, first of all, good morning to you and to your viewers.
Good morning, sir.
He was speaking in the context of, these 7 countries, where do this list came from? The name, this list of countries or countries of particular concern were included or added by the previous Obama administration. So when the question was asked, why not about other countries, he said the Trump administration is reviewing each and every country, and then he gave the example of Pakistan, and then he says that these lists could be added further. So this is the first indication which has come from a Trump administration that there could be a review of the entire list, and more countries could be, including Pakistan, could be added based on the review that the administration is doing currently and they're doing for the next 90 days.
But isn't it already the case that citizens coming in from Pakistan or Afghanistan, for instance, countries which have not for the moment been included in that list of 7 Muslim-majority countries, already are facing extreme vetting at U.S. airports?
They are facing extreme vetting, and this is not not a new phenomenon. It has been going on for quite some time now. But there is no blanket ban on any Pakistani national coming to the U.S. Although they are going through extreme vetting conditions. Yeah.
Right, Mr. Jha, is there a possibility that countries like Pakistan could, in the future, be included in that list of Muslim-majority nations that Trump believes citizens from their countries need to be restricted from entering the United States of America? Of course, the executive orders are facing some kind of stiff resistance from, of course, the protesters on the ground at the borders, at the airports, but also the courts as well. But a possibility that Pakistan could be included in that list in the future?
There is a possibility, but it also depends on Pakistan government's response to Trump administration request for seeking information on its citizens. If the Trump administration believes that the response which is coming from Pakistan is not adequate enough to make sure that those citizens would not be taking any activity which could be of concern to the U.S. Citizens, U.S. properties inside the country, then it could be included. But if they are providing all the information and they're blocking all of those individuals of concern inside the country itself, if there's full cooperation from Pakistan, and then in that case, I don't think the name of the country would be included.
Right, but what does this?
These are all clear in the executive orders which has issued last week.
Right. Also, what does this mean for Pakistan and United States relations as well in the future, if at all? I mean, it's a distant possibility that Pakistan could, of course, be included in the future, of course, because, like you said, they have to provide adequate responses to the Trump administration that they're not harboring terrorists, possibly, or fomenting terror on home soil, which is creating havoc across the world. But what about the possibility of, since this statement has come from the White House Chief of Staff, the fact that in nations like Pakistan, he names Pakistan, could be included in that list? What does this mean for future U.S.-Pakistan relations?
See, this is two different aspects. One is about the terrorist safe havens inside Pakistan. We are not talking about that at this point of time. The administration is talking about anyone who applies for a U.S. visa, and then the U.S. government would seek information about that particular individual from the Pakistani government. Is Pakistan government willing to provide that information within a certain amount of time to the U.S. government? It's on that basis the U.S. government or Trump administration will decide that the country's name should be included in that list or not included in that list. And the terrorist safe havens, giving support to terrorist organizations, a different issue altogether. It's not part of that. We should separate it both.
Right. My question, of course, was, it kind of harped on that subject because I was reading some of the quotes from the White House Chief of Staff. He said that these are the countries, of course, when referring to those 7 nations specifically that harbor and train terrorists, these are the countries that we want to know who is coming and going in and out of to prevent calamities from happening in this country. We're not willing to be wrong on this subject, is what he basically said. So I was quoting from off the back of what he had said. Also, Mr. Shah, in terms of the precedent as well, while a federal judge may have blocked a part of the ban which was issued through those executive orders, he seems to be pretty adamant about the ban. He seems to be justifying it as well.
Yeah, he has justified. He has been justified. He has justified. In fact, he put up his entire senior White House officials to on Sunday talk shows this morning, defending his executive actions. President himself came out with a long statement on why he is doing this and asserting that this is not a Muslim ban, and he made a few tweets too in defense of his executive orders. Yes.
Right. Mr. Shah, thank you so much for speaking to NewsX this morning.
You're most welcome.